Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining the Hawksearch webinar here for You Don't Have to Be Amazon to Create a Frictionless Commerce Experience. We're going to get started in just a minute here, but we want to give everyone a few seconds to join in and get prepared and get settled in, get your drinks, your popcorn, get ready for a good webinar here. So we're going to give everyone just a few more minutes to join, and then we'll get started. Thanks again to everyone for joining us today. We're going to go ahead and get started now. I'm going to go ahead and get everyone brought in here because we have an excellent panel here today that is ready to talk to you. Show you a lot about how Wawak and Luminos Labs have worked together with Hawksearch to really drive a very great commerce experience. Let's go ahead and get everyone on screen here so you can see our lovely faces in addition to our little profile photos there, headshots. I'll go ahead and get started. My name is Jonathan Meyer. I am one of the senior solutions engineers for the Hawksearch team. I've been around with the Hawksearch tool for several years at this point, and looking forward to having the conversation today, kind of being the MC for Wawak and Luminos, having the conversation around how this experience goes today. With that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Angela to do her introductions here.
I am Angela Mindeman. I'm an e-commerce manager at Wawak. When I say that, I definitely mean that less people managing and more of the doing. So I'll be talking about using the Hawk tool with our front end and how do I build these rules to really optimize our search results. Yeah.
Excellent. And then Ahmed, do you want to go ahead and do a quick little introduction there?
My name is Ahmed Marzouk. I have been the Director of Information Technology here at Wawak for quite a while now. I've worked here for about 12 years. And one of my main initiatives and goals here at Wawak is to create a seamless customer experience, regardless of which channel the customer is using, whether it's phone, web, fax. It's my job to make it happen.
Bringing back the fax. There you go. And last but certainly not least, we have Patti over there from Luminos Labs.
Thank you. Yes, this is Patti Lavasser. I am the Director of Client Success at Luminos Labs. So my role here really is to oversee all of our engagements with our clients and ensure the total success of any implementations that we are working on with our clients. So I kind of have my hand in a lot of different things here.
Excellent. We're going to have a really good conversation later on about how Luminos and Hawksearch all came together to really bring the experience that Ahmed and Angela are going to walk through here. With that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to drop off Angela here, and we're going to drop off Patti. And it's going to be just me and Ahmed here for a second as we go ahead and run through a live site demonstration of the Wawak site here. So Ahmed, if you want to go ahead and walk through kind of what Hawksearch is doing for the site there, how you guys have leveraged the tool, what you guys see going on there in Wawak.
So first, I think we should define what search means, because I think a lot of people, when you think of search, you think of search bar, and that is correct. But really, every industry out there uses search, whether even a grocery store. Putting products at eye level really directs the customer, gives them that guided experience on what to buy at the end of the day. And at Wawak, we really try to do that to kind of narrow down the selection for the customer. So one of the things we're doing with Hawksearch is our category landing pages. So we have so many variations of thread that the customer often gets lost. So we created these landing pages. So rather than send the customer to, per se, 140 different selections, as you can see here on multiple pages, it really takes them down to exactly where they need to go. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the main navigation page for thread. And as you can see here, we're really giving that guided, seamless experience to the customer by letting them choose whether they want to shop by brand, do they want to shop by material, do you want to shop by use, or do you want to shop by weight or just miscellaneous items. So going back to shopping by use, for example, because that's really the most common way when somebody comes in, they have a purpose for that thread and they're really trying to get there as quickly as possible to buy the product they need to continue to run their business and move on. So as you can see here, this brought us down to another page that takes it down to another level. So the top portion here is powered by Hawksearch, and it works very closely to how filters work. So if I use, for example, a basting thread and I click on it here, one of the really cool things, and this was probably one of the really cool things that it does, is it brings me down to brand, material, text or thickness, and the length of the spools. I really took the product down from 143 products that we were in a domain page. I brought the customer down to 3 products very quickly.
I think it's a good. I think the when you start talking about the idea of it being a frictionless environment, you're kind of spot on. Where we see visitors, search is really it's obviously in Hawksearch's name, and that is definitely one way that visitors might interact with Wawak. But this other idea of navigation, of I kind of know what I'm looking for, and how do I get to what I'm looking for? If I don't know the correct terminology, or I don't know the right name for it, I'm going to go to those top level navigation categories. I'm going to make those selections, and so we're walking through a really good example of kind of decreasing that friction and making this something that is really friendly to the visitor, where they can make those selections and bring back in the same kind of experience too. This is very similar to what you would see from both a search perspective, which I know Angela will get into in terms of kind of how you're keeping those consistent from redirects and so on. But yeah, no, this is great.
100%. And really thread is pretty straightforward when it comes to a product category. Now let's take a much broader product category, such as garment construction, where it may encompass hundreds of products. Mm-hmm. So when we come here to this category landing page, you can actually see how many different product categories are under this product category. And it is very difficult for the customer to actually know where they need to go if, for example, they just typed in garment construction in a search page. This is why these pages are so important, to kind of give the customer that guided, seamless experience. If I was a customer that would want eyelets, grommets, and rivets, for example, I would click on that. And again, I'm getting another refined page that shows me everything under that category. I can take it down a step further and move on and only show those grommets. Again, bringing it down 6 product selections very quickly from a huge product category. Or I can actually use the faceted search pages, the PLPs, and I can go right down to product filters, which is another way of showing the customer a very familiar experience that they've seen everywhere. But we put a bit of, I don't want to call it complexity. We actually made it easier for the customer, even though the thought behind it was complex. It makes it probably 10 times easier for the customer to choose exactly what they want. Rather than go through here, they can choose, for example, to go straight to tools. Once they go straight to tools, they can see all the grommet tools. Now, this is only one aspect of what we're doing with Hawksearch. And Angie's really going to cover this, but I'm just going to give it a very high level.
We're going to tease it here.
Yeah, Angie's really the rock star of this, so I'm just going to give her a very brief introduction and move out of the way.
Are you the warm-up act here?
Yes, I am. I am the. Is that what they call it? The warm-up act?
We'll call you the warm-up act. No, you're doing a great job. The audience is getting hyped.
So when we come to this eyelet plier kit, really, the customer has landed on the final page. They may or may not want that item. If they want it, great. They're going to choose to add it to their cart and hopefully buy some other items and move on. Now, if they don't want it, it is really our jobs to kind of pull them back in. Just like, again, I'm going to refer to grocery stores. Grocery stores will really pull you back in at the register. So you bought the few items that you wanted. Now you're at the register. Now you have your candy bars, you have your gum, you have everything else that you're going to buy in addition, all those upsells. And this is exactly what we're doing here. These are campaigns that are powered by Hawksearch. And really what's happening here is we're giving the customer the option to buy, for example, eyelet kits, eyelet kit with another tool. And you can see that, the price point compared to the actual kit is less, so it might be a little more enticing. Then we come down to the recommendations. You know, we're recommending you buy this item as well because you purchased this item, or you clicked on this item, which triggered Hawksearch to display these items for you. And again, another one that you see on e-commerce platforms everywhere, which is customers also bought. You know, this is also triggered by AI through Hawksearch, and it's just really displaying anything that one or many customers purchased when they purchased this toolkit. So that is the 10,000 foot view on really what Hawksearch is doing for us here.
Yeah, and I know Angela's going to get a little bit deeper into some of the specifics behind how these recommendations are being powered, but I think you're making a really great point for us here that, you know, with again that idea of Hawksearch being a search tool, obviously search being in the name again, we've already shown how we're doing the landing page functionality, really helping provide another point for streamlining that experience and providing that frictionless approach. But this idea of here, when someone gets to a product listing page, I'm sorry, a product detail page, and they're looking for that product, that idea of someone's at this point, they might not necessarily have committed to this yet. There's that idea of I'm looking for alternatives, I'm looking for other suggestions. And so using the recommendations functionality that's in Hawksearch, you hit the nail on the head here. This is giving you another opportunity to really kind of try and grab that visitor before they leave, before they move on. If this wasn't exactly what they're looking for, well, then having those suggestions for other recommended items, and then also doing those kind of viewed then bought functionalities leverages a lot of great functionality in terms of making suggestions for not just similar items, but also those customers also bought, takes advantage of that AI like we're talking about to really make suggestions automatically for Wawak to say, here are things that other visitors might be looking for, that Angela and Ahmed, yourself, you don't need to be coming back in and making those relationships. Angela's going to give us some really great examples of when, if you want to come in there and tweak that a little bit, we can show a little bit more around that. But no, this has been great. Ahmed, was there anything else you wanted to touch on here on the live site before we pass it over to Angela?
Really, I just wanted to show everybody, and again, Angela's going to go through this in depth. She's really, you know, she's done a great job on the Wawak site. But basically, you know, when you nailed it earlier when you said we're trying to give the customer a cohesive experience, a seamless experience, a frictionless experience, and we do that by delivering the same exact experience through a search bar that we do through those category landing pages. And again, Angela's going to be all over this, but I'm just going to show everybody here. If I just type in thread, it actually Hawksearch, what it delivers is it brings us to the same exact page that somebody would have went through the navigation, which is a wonderful thing because we wouldn't want somebody to have a different experience when searching for a product through a search bar or searching through a product or for a product through the category landing pages.
Yeah, it keeps it consistent, just makes it so that, you know, you put the effort into building out these great curated experiences, and, you know, if someone comes to your site and does a search for something like thread, it's a really broad set of, I mean, that can encompass almost all of your catalog there. You want to make sure that you're getting them to a relevant experience that can really, again, keep that friction low, and leveraging the work you've already put into building out these, you know, curated experiences. You've put in the effort into making these landing pages that really guide that visitor down. Well, we can understand then that a really high level search like thread, you want to go ahead and have those redirects point towards the landing pages and really leverage that functionality there. So I know, Angela, again, we're hyping her up a lot here. Hopefully she's not feeling to be too much on the spot, but
I'm gonna tell you right now, she's gonna be the star of the show. She is the master of Hawksearch.
Excellent. Well, Ahmed, thanks for walking through it. I just want to give you one more chance. Anything else that you want to touch on before we move on to Angela here?
No, I think everybody's excited to hear what Angela has to say.
Well, then let's go ahead and get Angela in here. Ahmed, thanks so much for joining us here. We'll bring you back in towards the end of the year where we might have some time for questions. We're going to go ahead and drop you, Ahmed, from the presentation. We're going to bring in Angela. Angela, are you feeling a little on the spot right now?
I mean, just a little bit, but I mean, I have done quite a bit with Hawksearch, so I'm pretty confident I can show you guys some cool things here. So you should see the front end of our Wawak site right now.
We are. It looks beautiful.
I'm going to kind of start with the redirect. So what Ahmed was talking about with our landing pages, how we want to curate those search results to have our customers hit these landing pages. So when we say that, we really mean any of this L1 nav bar categories, and then right on down, L1, L2, L3. So all of these we have built rules for in Hawksearch. So when someone types any of these terms in, they're going to be redirected to that URL. So I'm going to jump over to jacket zippers. Oops, caps lock on, doesn't really matter. So you can see here, I can hit enter or hit return, and I'm going to be taken to our jacket zippers landing page, or I can also hit jacket zippers in our top category autocomplete dropdown. I'm going to go ahead and just hit return, and you're going to hit our jacket zippers landing page. And like I said, I could also do that and get the same result in our dropdown here. And you can see it's the same exact landing page URL. To set these rules up, I came back into our Hawksearch workbench and went on over to redirects. And you're going to see quite a few here because, like I said, we did it for all of our L1s, L2s, and L3s. And the reason we did that was because we really wanted to make sure we were curating as much as we could our top searches. So we went through our top 1,000 searches on our site for over the course of, say, a year or two. And really the bulk of these searches did fall within these redirect categories. So it kind of helped us know what we needed to have up here in these categories. And then, what's the quickest, fastest way to make sure we can get our customer to those landing pages. So if
Angela, I think that's a really good point that you just brought up there. That going through your top search terms and being able to then make an action plan from that, because as you just kind of highlighted there, usually what we'll see a lot in the search space when people are interacting with that search bar is they are searching on those top level categories and being able to use that information to say, well, we're again to what Ahmed was showing earlier and what you're getting into here of, we know that this is experiences that we've curated for them. While the search results might be great, we've built the effort into putting in this curated functionality in the landing pages. Let's go ahead and take those redirects in place. But I think you hit a really good point that I want to just kind of put a little asterisk on for everyone that's sitting and watching this, is reviewing those top keyword search reports, looking at what your visitors are actually searching on, and seeing where those do match up to your top categories to really take advantage of that functionality. So please continue.
Definitely. So you can see I am still back in the workbench. I just typed in jacket zippers and searched for that. And you can see here we have our 2 rules set up for redirects: the keyword, where I would type it in, hit enter, and our top category. One of the things I like best about Hawksearch is I can move on to a million other different things. And if we add a new category and I need to come back in here, I do not need to remember every little thing that goes into setting up this rule. It's not super complicated, but I can just duplicate one, rename it, and I know exactly that I have all the same settings that I need. So that's a really big time saver for me. And I know I'm getting it right the first time. So all I'm doing is going to put that redirect URL up in here. And then, another great feature is I don't just have a jacket zipper term and jacket zippers. We also know people might use synonyms for that. Now, I also could use a synonym tool in the back end of Hawksearch, but because we have these landing pages, we just went ahead and added additional search terms in here. So coat zipper, coat zippers, parka, and that way, no matter what the customer is searching for, we know they're going to hit that landing page.
And that didn't take you, you didn't have to create several different rules to account for the one
Nope.
redirect. You have the one redirect, and you're just able to add in the terms that you're looking, that from looking at the reporting and what you see, how your visitors are searching on, to point towards those pages to do this redirect. And I think that's really great, as well as the search function that you highlighted there on the administration screen. When you're saying that you've created redirects for all of these different top level categories and sub level categories, we want you to be able to use the tool. That's the goal here. Is
Right.
We want the tool to be something that is usable and that you can really get into. So that search functionality, it's really simple just to be able to come into the tool and say, well, we've got thousands of redirects in place, but I know I'm looking to maybe change or make an addition to or duplicate that jacket zippers redirect. Be able to just go up to the search bar at the top there within the workbench and search even within the rule set. I think can be it's an often overlooked ease of use kind of functionality. So I'm glad that you highlighted that there.
Yep, it's super simple. And if I need to double check, if I'm wondering, do we have that? Oh, if we are seeing new searches, we did add thousands of new products this
Mhm.
summer. So, that changed things a little bit with both our search results and certainly these landing pages. We had whole new categories. Our bag construction category did not exist prior to this summer. So, we had to go back in and pick up, Hawksearch again to create those category keyword redirects and make sure they were also being applied.
Excellent stuff, and it just works right there with Optimizely. We didn't need to do any kind of special. This is using Hawksearch to take those keywords and do that redirect. We'll talk a little bit more about those integration points with Patti, but I wanted to kind of highlight that this is, when we start talking about this specifically from an Opti point of view, this is take that autocomplete, the search results, the product listing pages. This is Hawksearch driving those functionalities, and so when we're setting up those redirects, you're not having to then set them up in another platform. That's all just coming from the way that Hawksearch is integrated.
Yep. I'm going to move on now to the recommendation widgets, which are this recommended for you and customers also bought. That, we could say anything we want there. That's just what we're calling that. We It's very easy to set up and change these rules as well. So we decided, I'm just going to draw your attention to this product here. This was also a new product that came out this summer, branded Wawak sewing clips. And we wanted to make sure all of our customers knew we had it without kind of broadcasting it, big and bold across our homepage. So we were thinking, okay, what's one way we could do that? So we're like, okay, we'll use our recommended for you first position, so that any product page that a customer goes to and hits, they're going to see that there. So no matter what you've browsed previously, bought before, anything, this display is for any customer.
And I think that's really clever, because what this is doing is that the branding there is recommended for you. And as you said, you can really kind of call that whatever you want. You're free to say, it's going to be our suggestions for you, or whatever you want to call that. But it sets the precedent in the visitor's mind of, these are personalized recommendations. These are things that the tool, because we're all trained from Amazon and other e-commerce platforms where you see those recommendations and you're getting those, this is for me, that it's personalized. It's based off of what interactions are available, and that recommendations functionality is available within Hawksearch. But Angela, what you're doing is you're kind of leveraging that idea of saying, we know this is a personalized recommendation, but we want to go ahead and add in our own product specifically outside of what the recommendations might be doing.
Exactly. And it was very simple to do. Basically we're just creating a strategy that is displaying that specific SKU for us. And so I can easily drag and drop that into the first spot. I can move it to the last if I want. Obviously, we wanted to make sure everyone saw it, so we gave it that first spot there. Once we added that, all I need to do is hit a button to re-index that to our site. I don't need IT to get involved. There's no code. It's very simple for anybody to pick up and use. Also, you see these little red circles here. So I don't have to do anything to know what these mean. This is Hawksearch automatically is telling me with those numbers, it's ranking how often our customers are engaging with that content. And now that we've been up and running for a few months, we can see that, it's not really having the impact that we want. Maybe they're seeing it, but they're not clicking on it. They're not adding it to the cart. So what I would do in this scenario is probably take it off. But if I wanted to keep it on for a little while longer, all I would do is move it down, drop it down to a different spot, because this strategy is getting a lot more play with our customers.
Another thing you can also do here at this point is we do have the date ranges that are available there. So if you knew this was a limited time promotion where, we're coming to the holidays, people are doing different promotions that might be just a limited time window, you can go ahead and use these kind of strategies like featured items, which allow you to say, hey, this is specifically what I'd like to highlight outside of what the recommendations are doing, and set those date ranges to be from within the range that you're looking to do to highlight that. Angela, you're hitting another great point there, that kind of at-a-glance reporting where, this is layered throughout the tool in a couple of different areas, but specifically here looking at the recommendation strategies, we want to make sure that as a tool that we're providing good feedback on how we're performing, what is the value that we're bringing to you guys there. And so by seeing this information, you can at a glance kind of get an idea, okay, are more like this when someone's looking at a similar suggestions, that's really driving a lot more engagement for us. Personalization is also doing well. Bestsellers are also doing well. But the featured item that we've added, it's not necessarily having the most engagement, but you're getting that feedback right away, and allows you to make informed decisions about how you move forward with your recommendation strategies. real quick, other last little bullet point here. I don't want to completely take over your section here, Angela, but I do think it's important to also call it out that there are multiple strategies behind the scenes. So if you've never really played around with a recommendations tool, you've just seen them on other sites, something that is important to call out is that usually behind the scenes, it's more than just one strategy. So while that strategy on the front end might say something like recommended for you, there are multiple strategies being returned there. It's not just the personalization that you're being kind of pitched on. It can be these ideas of we're also bringing back in our best sellers, really taking advantage of building that relationship out and providing the kind of best recommendations for the visitor.
And you can see here, you're getting more different product types are coming in here. I know on that zipper one, you were seeing a lot of zippers, but at any rate, that's what the customer should be seeing based on those strategies that we've created. So to your point, we can easily see what's working and what's not, and we definitely appreciate having that. The last thing I want to talk about are actual search results here. Boost and vary rules.
We're getting the search for the Hawksearch present.
So one of our products is bias tape. We do not have a landing page for this. So if someone searches bias tape, these search results are great that we're coming up with a lot of bias tape, different colors, different sizes, different brands. But we also sell bias tape makers. Now we don't want to drop these products off because they are relevant to the search results that are returned, but we wanted to make sure that these were not displaying in a top position. So to do that, I created a boost and bury rule back in the workbench. And you can see here, again, I was very descriptive in what I was naming things. You see bury tape maker on bias tape search. If I go in and add and edit this rule, just like our redirects, I found it very helpful to be descriptive because you can easily see at a glance what you're looking for. Right here, bury tape maker, if I come in, I can see that I've assigned a negative value to the bias tape maker product. And that is what is filtering that down to the bottom of the search results. It triggers here whenever bias tape or bias tapes is searched. So similar to redirects, I just put in whatever search terms I want that to apply to and hit save, reindex, and we're good to go.
So again, you're getting the ability to set up one rule that accounts for multiple use cases. And I think what's interesting here too, and something that I think you did a really great job of kind of highlighting is that this allowed you to influence that specific search. You didn't want to remove them. You wanted to just kind of move them down towards the bottom. And that setting that up, you were able to accomplish this. You didn't need to reach out to your IT team. You didn't need to reach out to developers. It was just as simple as saying, well, if the product contains the name of bias tape maker, so basically if this rule, if the name contains bias tape maker, move that down further within the results. So it's very simple. If this, then that logic, using just kind of drop down boxes and entering in the words that you're looking for, and then you can see those results right there within the experience. I think that's a really great use case for those kind of merchandising rules.
And again, because this is so robust, if I know I want to create another rule that's very similar, I don't have to reinvent it. I can just duplicate it, change my settings, change my terms, and I know that I'm going to be good to go. And we're all very busy, so there's definitely a huge upside to that for us.
Work smart, not hard, right?
Exactly.
Angela, was there anything else that you want to touch on here before we move on to the discussion about Luminos with Patti?
No, I think that does it.
Excellent. Well, let's bring us back in here on the screen so everyone can see our lovely faces here. Angela, thank you so much for that demonstration. That was fantastic. We're going to go ahead and bring back in Patti here. Let's go ahead and add Patti. Angela, again, thank you so much for that demonstration. That was lovely. We're going to go ahead and move on here to Luminos Labs. So, Patti, thanks for joining us here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Angela really was the star of the show, so I'm a little nervous going after her.
I know. I feel like we're coming on after the big headliner here. We're having to wrap up here. So
that's great.
Patti, go ahead and if you can, just walk through some of the function, what the experience was like for the project for Wawak, working with Hawksearch, working with Wawak, what you guys helped bring to the table here.
Yeah, absolutely. So as the implementation partner, we worked really closely with the Wawak team, with Hawksearch, and also with Optimizely, right? Because that's the site, to connect these two platforms to be able to allow Angela and the Wawak team to do the things that she just so graciously showed us. And a couple of things with that is the implementation itself included both back-end development and front-end or UI development for a couple of things, which I'll talk about in just a second. But we had both of those types of developers pulled in to really make sure that we could provide the best experience for their customers, which is the whole goal of being able to do this. So, and also make it easy for Angela and the team to do what she just walked through, right? I mean, that's a lot of time saved throughout their day. So as a general overview, for the implementation, we use the API method to do a couple of things. So that's to send search queries to the search engine, of course, to feed the autocomplete functionality in the search bar, as well as feeding the recommendations on the site. Also, the API was used as well to track the search results or the searches on the site that Angela just showed, so that we can see how well things are performing, as well as the recommendations, right? So really taking that information and being able to get strategic and then be a little more tailored throughout the site as the user goes.
And that's interesting because one of the things that we, and Luminos is, I'm sure you've run into when we start talking about Optimizely and where we can help, kind of add on features to that Optimizely platform. The autocomplete really is one of those things that we've been consistently had questions around. And I think the Wawak site's a really great example of how we can take kind of what would, kind of the default experience that you'd have in Optimizely, but really be able to go ahead and drive an experience that's unique to the client. So for Wawak, obviously, we talked a lot about those categories and making sure that those are being suggested, being able to use the different API methods that Hawksearch has available to say, we want to present just this information, and Luminos being able to take that information and really bring back in the experience that Wawak was looking for. I think that's a great point.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a great experience for the user to get them to what they're looking for quicker, right? That's the goal. We don't want them to have to spend a ton of time finding what they're looking for. So that's a really great point. And just to build on that just a little bit, there were some additional functionalities that we implemented to handle a couple of, use cases that Wawak has. And Angela and Ahmed both kind of talked through a couple of those, but just want to bring those back to the forefront to really show the customization as well. We did do a bit of that front end or UI that I had mentioned as part of this project. And really what we did there was to adapt the visual of the search results. And we just showed it on the screen, but to adapt that to the Wawak look and feel, right? So that it matched the rest of the site. It was a really good experience for the client. We also did some additional back-end changes surrounding how we display those search results, which I believe Angela just showed as well. Instead of taking the user to a general search results page sometimes, for certain products or categories, we're bringing them right to that product's details page with the correct variant selector selected. So it's, again, just really about driving that client to that user right to the right thing that they're looking for. We also, as far as additional functionality, we also did work with Hawksearch to create a custom API for kind of a unique offering that Wawak has, which is a quick order page where you can search for multiple SKUs at once, order them all together. It's a separate from, a regular search, but it's a really nice offering that we were able to create that custom API for, so that we're connecting those two systems.
Yeah, I think that's another great point to highlight. Obviously, Angela and Ahmed have been great at showing kind of what the end result is. And there's a lot of that's just really just kind of stock core functionality within Hawksearch, kind of the baseline APIs that we offer and integration points. But Luminos, with you guys being able to come in and say there are these additional things that are unique to the way that Wawak wants to use the search engine, and be able to actually take the tool and extend it in that regard. That's something that we're actually really proud of here on the Hawksearch side, is that as a SaaS solution, we're not just this kind of one-size-fits-all solution that it does what it does and that's what it does. We want to make sure that we can really meet what the unique needs of our clients. So you were talking earlier about those different the redirects that Angela and Ahmed both highlighted there. Those experiences we're able to bring back in kind of just the subcategories, really kind of standard functionality of the tool, but the way that it's being leveraged on Optimizely and the presentation layer there, Luminos, you guys stepped in and really kind of took that to the next level and made sure that it really did feel like a part of the experience, that it did not seem like, oh, now I'm getting off of Optimizely, now I'm in a Hawksearch page. Really does feel natural and does extend the kind of baseline functionality we saw within Hawksearch, and especially that quick order thing. I wish we had more time to dive into that, because that is, again, another great example of how you can take kind of the core search functionality and extend it out in ways that really do meet specific needs while we're still within that Optimizely platform.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great experience, and that's one of the things, here at Luminos Labs. Of course, we're going to work with, the Wawak team, understand their client, their users and their customers, so that we can make some of those recommendations and bring some of those things out with Hawksearch and bring them to the forefront. So the last thing I was going to share on here really is just the time, that it took to do this type of implementation. I feel like that's probably a question in everyone's mind. So generally, for this type of implementation, it took around 8 weeks. And, that's really not a long time for these Wawak customers to really be able to take advantage of all the great features that Angela and Ahmed talked through today. So it was a great process working together all around.
And I would agree. I think that this has been a really good example of kind of how both of our companies and Optimizely can come together to really provide a very powerful tool for our clients to drive that. We've been hammering on it, but it really is kind of key in this day and age of that frictionless experience. You really want to make sure that regardless of how that visitor is getting to the site, that they are then be able to get to the products they're looking for very quickly, either if it's through the search, if it's through navigation, and if they don't find what they're looking for when they get to that product detail page, leveraging those recommendations and making sure that you're providing alternatives to them. So really, I appreciate you taking the time to walk through that here. Let's go ahead and bring everyone back in. And I'm sorry, actually, Patti, let me just make sure. Anything else that you want to touch on before we move on?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered a good amount today. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, let's go ahead and bring back in Angela. Let's go ahead and bring back in Abed. The gang is all here now. I think in the interest of time, I know that we're a little over a half hour at this point here. If we did have any questions, I would go ahead and submit them to, bring them into the follow-up emails that we'll have here. So please feel free to reach out to us if you do have any questions. We can follow up after the webinar here with any questions that might come up. But we'll go ahead and just kind of wrap it up here, and really want to say, thank you to Patti from Luminos. Really appreciate the conversation there and helping give us some insight and kind of how the partnership end of that all worked out. Angela and Ahmed, you guys, fantastic. Thank you for taking the time to walk through how Wawak and Hawksearch and Luminos all came together and providing us those live demonstrations. It's always super important to see, kind of what the end result actually is, and a little bit behind the scenes. We always like to show that off as well, that the tool itself is something that we're very proud of, and we appreciate you guys doing such a great job showing that off for us here. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to sit in and watch this webinar. Hopefully it was beneficial and you got some information out of it. Please feel free to reach out to schedule a demonstration. You'll see the email addresses there on the line. This will also be, if we have any questions, you can please reach out to those addresses and we can get those submitted out as well. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time again today. Thank you to my wonderful panel for joining me today. Hope everyone has a great holiday season, and we'll look forward to the next webinar. Thanks.